Hello friends, welcome to the class of business to business marketing. Today we will be talking about a very important concept which can be which you can consider as the heart of marketing, right? And this is nothing but we call it as segmentation, targeting and positioning. So what segmentation is and what targeting means and how companies position their product is a very important concept that every management graduate or anybody working in the field should understand. And I believe personally, if you have understood STP well, right, then half of marketing is you have understood it well. So what exactly is STP and how you conduct a segmentation process? We will talk about it. So when we start the discussion, we come with a very important question, right? Can a company serve all its potential customers in the same way? So this is a question that needs to be answered. So what if, let us say, think about a company like Tata Motors, Tata Steel, or even Bharat Forge. So when you think about these companies, they have so many different clients, potential clients, right? Can they serve all these clients in the same way, in an effective way, is a question. For example, now this is, let us say, Tata Steel, or let us say Steel Authority of India Limited, and it has got different customers, potential customers, and how would you what would you do? Would you consider all of these customers? Can you satisfy them equally, or you would like to target them in a different individual manner? So the question is, the answer to the question is no. No company can ever serve all its potential customers in a same manner, that means in the most effective manner. It is not possible. So obviously they have to change the strategy, maybe slightly according to the segment that any company is catering to. And what do marketing strategists do often? So if you look at any marketing strategy, most of the time the strategists spend their time in too much attention on what is happening around them, right? So what are the competitors doing, and what is the new substitute that is coming up in the market, what is happening in the by the competitors. So generally we are in a we are in a mode of answering what is and what could be versus what could be, right? So like we are not looking at the future, rather we are talking about all the time the present. So for example, if a computer has changed its price, we would immediately like to be reactionary in nature, and we would like to change, bring in some changes in our own pricing, or we may bring in a new product. So the question is, what should be companies actually doing, right, and how they should be handling this situation. So what could be is sometimes a better situation or a better option, because you can understand something that will happen in the future, right? It is like understanding the future. And by focusing only on the existing or the current situation, strategies sometimes tend to ignore the new potential markets, right? And for example, uh, let us say a steel manufacturer is producing steel, and it is trying to cater to real estate, automobile and all these sectors. But maybe it has forgotten, it has somehow missed a industry which does not look very prominent, but still has a future. For example, let us say talk about any home appliances industry, right? And the company thinks it is a small market for us, so they do not they tend to ignore it. So that is the potential loss that they can make, or maybe they can completely ignore a new place because they feel that the economic condition of that place is not very good. So people might not have much buying power, so we would ignore that market. So in such situations, marketers tend to make a loss. The second point is missing signals about the emerging new markets. So there might be some signals that is the market is offering, but marketing strategies or marketing managers tend to ignore these new signals that they are getting from the market, right, and even new opportunities that they can think of. So in a nutshell, if you see, marketers have to be more smarter, and they have to understand what the future generation might demand, what future would be for them, right. Now, generally when you talk about missing opportunities, we will talk about three first customer groups that generally any marketer faces, right. To spot new opportunities, marketers should focus on the following three customer groups, right. So, what are these three customer groups? Now, the first one is called an undershot customer, right. Then you have somebody called an overshot customer, and then non-consuming customers. Now, what does undershot customer mean? Now, if you see, for example, there might be a situation where an existing solution fails to meet the needs of the consumers, right. So, it results in a purchase of a new product version at steady or increasing prices. So, this is the situation which is the most prevalent situation, right. That means a current, let us say as the photo here given to you, shown to you is a mobile, right. Now, this mobile set device is maybe a forthcoming product which is which has some extra features, and the company and the customers feel the existing product do not have the features. So, let us go for a new one. The same happens with any technology driven products. Most of the time the customers might feel that existing products do not serve the purpose what they exactly want. So, they go for they are looking for a new product, and this is the area where marketers are largely focused, or they get fixed. So, as we move from 3G to 4G to 5G, so obviously people have moved from the first the third generation, then to the fourth generation, the fifth generation. So, automatically even companies also have come up with certain new kind of devices. Now, how does it impact the B2B market? Now, see, end customer who is a we say it is a B2C, right. So, end customer when it buys something, automatically that purchase, that production process has also to change accordingly. Now, if you look at the advanced hardware and software that is required, that goes to the B2B part, right. So, in order to support 5G specifications, for example, now India has recently just launched a few days back, right, 5G. So, all the existing network hardware standards have to be upgraded. Now, advanced facilities have to be brought in. So, if once they are deployed and they are used, then what happens? The end customer gets the final product. So, all these changes also are going in the back end, so that which is a part of the B2B market, right. The second type of customer you have is the overshot customers. Now, existing solutions may be sometimes too good, right. So, the customer is reluctant to purchase a new version. So, in the last case it was that existing solution was not sufficient. Now, we are talking about a situation where the existing solution is sufficient, more than sufficient, and the customer is not willing to give away the existing product and continue with the same product, and it is not ready to go for the new version. Okay. Now, take the example again. Let us say IBM is producing computers, high end computers, right. So, with Power 10 processor based server which is called Enterprise E1080. Now, they have a 64 up to, they have a memory of up to 64 TB, right, terabytes. So, in such a situation, it is highly possible that customers who are using this server, this kind of a IBM machine, they would be reluctant to move to the next level, right. Now, suppose let us say Power 11 of IBM brings up to 128 TB memory, let us say, and many clients would be overshot customers. They do not have the requirement of that much memory. 64 TB is more than sufficient for them. So, in such a condition they would not, they are happy with the existing product and they would not like to move from the one to the next. Okay. So, this happens also in terms of computers, in several products where we are happy with our existing product. Now, coming to the third situation. These are the people who are the non-consuming customers. And who are they? So, these are the people who lack resources, skills or ability to benefit from the existing solutions. So, this is one customer, for example, in when you talk about, generally you understand it in the consumer product category, you talk about the bottom of the pyramid. So, people who are at the bottom of the economic chain. So, they are ignored, but that is a large base and they have a large potential. But till C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hamel, before they spoke about such concepts, Gary C.K. Prahalad. So, before that people were ignoring these markets, but now after their very popular research, uh, companies started taking interest in the low income consumers, low end customers, so that they can because they understood that it is a large base that is there and a large potential is available, and if they can create a product for it, they can make money out of it. So, they can make their profits, increase their profits. So, similarly in this market also, when we talk, customers sometimes are there who lack the resources, skills or ability. So, these customers cannot benefit from the existing solutions. So, can some product be made for these kind of customers? If yes, then the B2B market also can see exponential growth. So, clients who are still stuck with IBM, let us say Power 5 processors, as they do not have resources and ability to shift to the new generations, they can be provided with a new product, right. So, but generally what we happen, we generally focus on the undershot customers and we tend to ignore this overshot and the non-consuming customers. So, often marketers focus too much on the undershot and not enough on the overshot or the non-consuming customers. Consequently, marketers miss opportunities to recognize new innovations that could motivate overshot and non-consumers to buy. So, for example, overshot customers also can buy, but at least we can surely think of the non-consumers to make them consumers, convert them into consumers, and invent maybe new products that could revolutionize industries, as we have also seen it in the past. So, these are some opportunities that always stay in the market. Now, how can marketers take benefit and how do B2B marketers take benefit out of it, right. So, let us see. So, the question again here, one question that comes is, have you ever heard about STP? So, obviously I have already said, right, segmentation, target and positioning, and I am sure many of you must have also heard about it in the past also, right. Many of you must have been students of management, or you must have done some management courses, or at least studied some management papers and all. So, you know about STP, but the question is STP applicable in B2B markets, in business markets? That is a question, because we have always learnt that STP is always, very often we study STP in the concept of consumer products, in the consumer markets, right. But here also we can say that STP is surely vital and surely required. See, what happens is basically when we talk about STP, segmentation largely, let us talk about segmentation, right. So, segmenting a market in a consumer good is very simple, right. We can understand, because we can see the market, we can understand who can the consumers be. So, accordingly we segment the market. Segmentation is like segmenting the market. So, we are dividing the market into different homogeneous groups, right. So, this group has all the behavior which is homogeneous in nature, this group has a different behavior, right. So, 1, 2, so 3, 4. So, all are 1, 2, 3, 4, all are different homogeneous groups, okay. But B2B we do not know, because we do not meet the end customer. We only talk about the business customer who is again producing a good for the end customer, right. So, in such a situation there is no doubt a challenge of segmenting the B2B market. But is it required? First the question is it required to do a segmentation in the B2B market? If I do not do, what will happen? See, there is no doubt a challenge to segment the B2B market, there is no doubt, right, because you do not have very variables like age, income, which is very easy to divide the market, you do not have these things. But the question is, what if I do not segment the B2B market? If you do not segment the B2B market, what will you will fall into a trap. So, the marketer, the management people, they would fall into a trap, and there is a high chance that the benefits that you could have taken by at least making some segmentation, which is not 100% accurate, it is not required to be 100% accurate, but at least you have a 70% accuracy is good enough to make a proper target, right, or to target your customers in a proper manner. Because you see, once you segment the market, that means what? You are understanding the characteristics of the market. So, if you are understanding the characteristics of the market, you can analyze the market well, you can understand the potential of the market, and you can even create different strategies, the marketing mix strategies for each segment, accordingly. So, that is why segmentation, no doubt, is a very important phenomena, and it has to be done whichever market you are in. Is it a B2C market or a B2B market, right? So, let us try to recall what we have heard or what we have studied in the past, right. Some of you might be freshers, some of you might be very experienced people in the industry. So, let us go to this STP. So, if you can see STP, the market segmentation, right. So, market segmentation, here we identify the basis for segmentation and determine the important characteristics of each market segment. So, what is our job? First, as I said in the last slide, to define, to discriminate, to separately create different segments, right, and then try to understand each segment properly. So that once you understand each segment well, then only as a marketer you would be in a position to say ki according to our producing ability, production ability, or our distribution ability, or whatever abilities we have, the resources that we have, which segment should I cater and which segment should I ignore. Because as we have understood, you can never cater to all the customers, it is not possible, because every company will have some limitation in its resources, be it HR resources, raw material resources, it can be anything, right, production capability, anything. So, which is the most profitable segment to me, that is where I will target. So, next point comes is targeting. So, right, once I have divided the market, then I have identified the segments, then I will target one segment or two segment, whatever according to my resource capacity. So, evaluate potential and commercial attractiveness of each segment, right, and then finally you may select one or more segments. After S and then T, targeting, then comes the positioning, right. So, it is not like exactly how much of difference will in time period it will be, we do not know that. But yes, after you have understood what is your target market, accordingly only you will have to position your product for that target market. So, in product positioning, what we do? We try to position our product, or we try to positioning, the definition of positioning is to try to take a space in the customer's brain, right. So, that means when somebody tells a name or shows a kind of there is a punchline or something, we immediately recognize which company we are talking about and what kind of a positioning does this marketer have, this company have. Maybe sometimes the positioning could be like a very efficient company, a very quality driven company, a very high end technology oriented company. So, there can be different kinds of positioning strategies, right. So, a company, why does positioning is also interesting, although I will be explaining you in detail. So, in positioning what we do, we try to, because you see people will tend to forget, right. So, why should somebody remember me? I should be remembered if I have something, some kind of a differentiating factor. Now, what is the differentiating factor that you can provide to the customer? That is what we do in a positioning strategy. We try to create some differentiation. So, that differentiation can be in terms of many, any punchline, can be a color, the way you want to carry forward your image. So, anything, right. And finally, once you have developed a positioning image and positioning, right, then you have to develop a marketing mix for the selected segment. So, the question now again arises, will it be same for B2B like what you had done for B2C? No, right, no. What you were doing for B2C, the way you were segmenting, targeting and positioning the products in the B2C market, B2B market is a different market. Now, there has been enough lectures on this and we have already understood that B2B characteristics are completely different. So, it is, see, you can never compare a chocolate manufacturer with a software manufacturer, right. If you cannot compare, let us say for example, a Nestle, a company like Nestle with a company like Cognizant or Infosys, right. So, they are poles apart, their way of doing business will also be different because the consumers are different here, right. So, what market segmentation is all about? What is the definition? So, it is the process of dividing a broad consumer or business market, normally consisting of existing and potential customers, into subgroups or consumers based on some types of shared characteristics, right. So, what it says that you are dividing on basis of some shared characteristics, means there is some homogeneity among the customers. So, why we are doing it, we have already discussed. So, once I do it, it will help me to understand ki, okay, there is 5 segments, let us say, that a company can target to, and segment 1 has a market potential of, let us say, 40%, segment 2 has a potential of only 7%, segment 3 has some percentage. So, by understanding, then we will say ki maybe if I target only segment 1, I can do it better. Instead of targeting all 5, I will target only segment 1 and segment 4, which has another, let us say, 15%. So, 40 plus 15, let us say 55% of the market I will target, the rest I am going to ignore. Okay. So, accordingly I will spend my money, I will make my marketing mix accordingly. It is an accepted industry standard that a key account manager in the industrial B2B market should have no more than 7 customers. Now, that is for just for an information, it is a note, right. So, the why segmentation, again touching the same point. So, obviously we know that our resources are limited. You may have a plant capacity which can produce maybe, let us say, 1000 units per day, 1000 products per day. But the market demand could be like, the market can have a consumption capacity of, let us say, 10,000 capacity. So, you have only a production capacity of only 10% of what the market desires. So, obviously you can't cater to the whole market. Then selecting the most effective market. So, by segmentation it helps you to select the most effective. Now, which market is most suitable to me? So, that could differ not only in terms of the market potential, maybe market potential might be, in terms of market potential, it might not be the number 1, it might be number 2, but it is matching because my distribution channel, my knowledge of the distribution channel, my promotional knowledge, they are much suitable to maybe the second best market segment, not the first. So, the second best segment maybe has a potential of only, let us say, 27% or 20%, right. But still I feel, because my production capacity is also not very high, I can produce maybe only 21%, 22%. So, let me go for the second best segment. Okay. Tailor made, and one more thing is, when I am saying selective most effective market, here I also am trying to say which market will give me the highest amount of profitability, the premium, right. So, maybe market segment 1 has a high market size, but then the point is the kind of premium I can charge is limited. But here it might be second or third highest in terms of potential, but I can charge a very high premium. Then you can, once you have the segmentation, the knowledge of the segment, you can tailor made or make your marketing initiative. So, as I said, the promotional mechanisms, the distribution processes, the supply chain systems, the logistical arrangements, everything you can then make it, tailor make according to the requirement of the segment. Fourth point is, segmentation also will help you to determine the product pricing, just I said, right. So, how much of premium you can charge, that you will decide on what kind of a customer you are catering to. So, if the customer that you are catering to maybe is small in size, but is a very high economically very sound and a very quality conscious customer, for example, in the B2B market. Now, if it is a very quality conscious customer, so then what happens is, at least he is ready to pay you more. So, that in that way I may sell less, but I can charge high, which is good for any marketer, right. And then finally, the fifth point is, segmentation also provides you an opportunity to identify new possible opportunities, right. So, by segmenting the market, maybe you learn that one of the segment is not accepting your product, or it does not like your product. You can reverse, you can make a question, you can make an analysis on why is this segment not getting going for my product. So, what is exactly that they require that I am not providing. So, if possible, if it is possible, then the marketer can maybe think of developing a specified product for this kind of segments. So, the leftover segments. So, in this condition what happens, it helps you to provide a identify the new opportunities. Okay. Does competition affect segmentation is a question. So, let us say generally we say that segmentation is to be done from for our own benefit and all. So, the question is, but the reality in market is there are so many competitors and there are so many players in the market. So, do they affect your segmentation process? Think over it. Competition will also affect your segment, the way you are segmenting, because if let us say if the competitors are entrenched deeply into in certain segments, however potential it may look, right, but there is no point that you become another me too in the segmentation process. So, if you become another me too, you are just like competing against some of the already ones who have deeply entered into the market, into those segments. So, dislodging them is something which is nearly impossible or very very difficult. It may be a waste of your time and energy. So, in such a condition, it is better rather to select those segments where less of competition is there and more potential is there for the marketer. Okay. So, competitive analysis. So, when a firm chooses which segment to serve, it is in essence choosing its competitors as well. So, by if you are getting into those segments where already competition is very high, obviously it will affect you, right. Competitive analysis is must. It helps in finding the relevant market segment, identify the competition, the competitors, determine their strengths and weaknesses, and anticipate even their future course of actions, right. So, all these are very important and they do affect the segmentation process for any company. Now, once we have segmented the market, then we said we will focus on maybe a few segments only after doing the segmentation, right. So, a market segment now is commonly defined as a group of present or potential customers with some common characteristics, which we have already said, right, which is relevant in explaining the response to a supplier's marketing stimuli. Now, for example, let us say what which segment is the best segment for us, which are the possible segments and which is the most optimal segment for a company. Now, if I am Bharat Forge or if I am Tata's or if I am let us say TVS Sundaram, I would like to know if I am if I am building radiators for, for the autos. Now, which kind of potential client should I be looking into? There might be many clients and I am not able to cater. So, which is the most potential client, right, and which is the most potential segment that I can look into. So, for example, you see there are different this is the whole population. So, red, yellow, green we have divided and then we may target either the red, the yellow or the green. So, each one is a segment. So, which segment the company wants to cater to or even all the three or two, it is up to the choice of the company according to the resources available with the company. Okay. What a surprise look, is not it? Did you know a research by Mercer Management Consultancy indicates that for many companies nearly one third of their market segments generate no profit and that 30 to 50% of the marketing and customer services costs are wasted on efforts to acquire it and retain customers in these segments. So, this puts you into a challenge, into a situation that sometimes you are catering to segments which are actually not giving you any profit and you are wasting your resources into that. So, it makes the point of segmentation even more important now. Why? Because if you would not have made the segmentation, you would never have understood where you are making losses. But now, since you have the segments and you are catering, so you can understand that okay, segment 1, target segment 1 or 2 is not giving us benefits, target segment 5 is the one only which is giving me profits. So, how do I change my outlook? What should I do, right? So, ultimately costs, revenues and profits must be evaluated segment by segment and even account by account. So, at least in B2B firms, because you see B2B clients are always large clients and you may have a very few number of clients, right, not like unlike the B2C market where somebody is going and paying you, maybe buying a product only worth rupees 5 rupees, right. So, you have you have maybe crores of accounts or crores of customers, and that makes a total volume of high volume. But in this market you are talking about maybe you have only 3-4 customers, right, or 10 customers, single digit customers even, and what I mean, and those customers are maybe actually responsible for your entire sales of the year. So, you have to understand now which segments are those which are not giving us profit, and which segments you have to identify them, right. So, this is just an example we have brought from SAIL. Now, SAIL is Steel Authority of India Limited, a public sector company by the government of India. Now, SAIL has, you can see, it sells steel and steel related products. Now, there are different potential customers. Now, heavy engineering, auto, right, tube manufacturers, drums and barrels, defense, railways, etc., agricultural equipments, transportation, the industry, right, coated sheet manufacturers, cycles, and even other projects, right. So, SAIL caters to different potential target segments, but it is sometimes possible that SAIL may cut down a few of their target segments and may only or increase their emphasis or their the increase their interest, right, or their whatever the marketing strategies they are developing, they can only increase their focus on a few target segments and maybe cut down on a few others remaining which are not so profitable. So, this will give you an idea that how different kind of segments, target segments can be built by a company, and if doing an analysis, after doing an analysis, it will help them to understand and note down which segments are not giving them profits and which segments are giving them profits, and accordingly they can adjust their strategies, right. So, this I will just look at it and try to develop a similar kind or look at a similar kind of model for any other company, and then even try to think how you would have what you would have done had you been in that situation for that company, or you can wherever you are working, right. Just try to reframe your segmentation approach for your company or your university where you are studying. So, whatever you are doing, and then try to answer yourself how effectively you are managing your segmentation process, right. So, I like to wind up my class here. So, we will meet in the next lecture. Thank you very much. Till then, take care.